pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to HJN Season 5. And so, what we got here for today is another big subject that I feel like will be worth talking about. This one's going to be focusing specifically on something called glow in the dark for number 2711. And well, a good way to describe glow in the dark is something like this. Glow in the dark is a phenomenon in which that an object, or item in which in particular, which can range from anything like toys, everyday objects, emergency equipment, etc. They use phosphorescent materials which absorb light energy and then use it as a special type of bioluminescence. A visible light that essentially is charged by actual light. And it could be the sunlight or a flashlight or a light bulb in the ceiling, anything of the sorts. As long as there's a light source or power source that is able to trigger the materials within said item that glows in the dark, according to the manufacturer or otherwise, it will give off a unique, brightly glow. Of course, glow in the dark has been a very popular phenomenon in most of today's products, in which that most action figures and toys, a lot of add-ons and pieces of the sorts. Some clothes also can glow in the dark, typically from a light source or even a black light, which is a different phenomenon that's not necessarily glow in the dark, but is more of a black light phenomenon. Maybe that's something that I could talk about in a different episode of HJN. Otherwise, this, of course, when I said that glow in the dark is mainly like bioluminescence, it's not exactly relatable. And that's because phosphorescent materials is more of the artificial form of glowing in the dark. Natural glowing in the dark, known as bioluminescence, typically comes from various organisms that can glow in the dark, including the tails on fireflies and lightning bugs, or even in the ocean with a specialized organism called the dinoflagellate. This is a natural phenomenon that has existed for millions of years and has often been seen in the ocean. At night, these dinoflagellates, when stimulated by the waters and the waves naturally occurring from the energy from the moon, the waves will crash down on the shores, but they'll also emit a distinct glow, typically in a bright shade of blue. But I feel like that's going to be an entirely different subject that's worth talking about in another HJN video, just like with other things I might have mentioned in this episode. I'd say I will have gotten off track in a bit, but all in the efforts of explaining differentiations between bioluminescence and glow-in-the-darks. Phosphorescence and bioluminescence are of course not the same sort of thing because both properties work in different ways. But they still are synonymous with the fact that they both happen to show a special light in a dark place. So, be that as it may, glow in the dark is typically in green, but it can also be in different colors. If you're familiar with phenol, a compound that is used in glow stick fluid, well, that process is also a different sort of thing. But still, it does fall under the category of glow in the dark, mainly for the fact that it does glow in the dark. And phenol is an artificially manufactured peace of mind, much like most glow-in-the-dark products that we see today. Bioluminescence, of course, is the more natural form of glowing in the dark. Like I said, with dinoflagellates and fireflies, it's the more natural. And the way I see it, the two things pretty much work together in harmony to give us different things that we're looking for. But anyways, that's it for today's episode, and I'll be back with more HJN later on. So make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side for more.